I've been heavy on my grind, putting value on my time. I see the vision in my mind, in my purpose I'm aligned. I refuse to slow down, I claim these blessings all around. I'ma keep my focus.
Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? Hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Astrologiks, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I wanted to come on here to talk about the Gregorian calendar. I have been meaning to do this video for a really, really long time because it's been a deep interest of mine, but I've been led to really do it this time because I have a lot of people ask me why I don't do New Year's why don't I celebrate New Year's in January like everybody else, or the end of the year, whatever you want to call it. Why do I do it in March? And there's a lot of questions about whether Vedic astrology is more prevalent and Western astrology is more prevalent, or Egyptian astrology is more prevalent. And the truth is it's all it's all about where you're at. But no matter which viewpoint you're expressing it from, I feel personally, um, if you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's kind of simplistic, but honest to God, the way I see it when I study all these things is that you can read between the lines to see the truth. Obviously, Western astrology is a lot more popular for whatever reason, just like celebrating the new year. Um, believe it or not, and March is way more popular than the new year in January. And there's so many different reasons for that. I can't say definitively we'll get into all that today, but however, what I did do was put some videos together that I'll post on my Patreon for my Patreon members. So if you want to go a little bit deeper and get a deeper understanding of what I'm going to talk about here today, it all coincides, basically, is what I'm saying. It's just a roundabout way to say, once you know something and you study something, again, no matter which religion you're using, which God you're believing in, which philosophy you're believing in, you can read between the lines. But there might be some people out there who want to do it the right way and really, really dig deep into that. And I hope that this is the start or can be the start of the beginning for you to understanding that. And yeah, that's a whole long introduction, but that's what I got. So, um, the Gregorian calendar comes from the Roman calendar. It was created by Pope Gregory the 13th. Some people will argue the 8th. I promise you, there are so many different stories out there, family. You have to go do your own research and believe whatever you want to believe. Nonetheless, it was Pope Gregory. Whether it was the 8th or the 13th, all of them are pretty consistently saying that it was created by the Pope Gregory in 1582 BC. Okay, that everybody knows BC is before Christ. And prior to that was the Julius Caesar calendar that started in 46 BC. And before that was the Roman calendar. The original Roman calendar consisted of 10 months, and it started in March. The winter was an unspecified time, meaning they didn't have anything after 10 months. Even though the 10 months were still happening, they just didn't recognize those as days. They were actually consisted of 8-day cycles instead of 7-day cycles. They later added winter as January and February. The Julius Caesar calendar later went into effect on January 1st, 45 BC, and it was considered to be followed by law in the Roman Empire. It was later that the Gregorian calendar was put into effect in the 1600th century. Or so. Now this gets really, really, really intricate. I have to say, I did not do all the I did not write down all the research. I'll say that I listened to it, but I didn't write it down because I felt like, honestly, guys, if you don't go and listen to, I can tell you until you're blue in the face. I'm still processing what I just heard. Like, it's a lot of calculations of just verification of when actually what consists of a daytime and nighttime, what makes a day, what makes 24 hours in a day, um, and whether or not we should be celebrating these Gregorian celebrations is really what this all breaks down in so many different words and explanations. Another thing that's broken down quite heavily is the solstices and why it's important to have a certain amount of days of year in order for it to consist of one year, and how that changes and affects the Gregorian calendar. The bottom line is when you get deeper into this, what you'll find, what it shows you or leads you to is the Book of Enoch. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But again, I'm not going into great detail. Family, I highly advise you to go get the Book of Enoch and read it because this shit's going to blow. I mean, I'm still in awe right now. But all I can say is what the Book of Enoch shows, and once you get out of the Gregorian calendar and understand what the Gregorian calendar has done, is pretty much it was set up to confuse you on purpose, to take you off alignment with the original religion, which is the Israelites, the real Jews, and the real calendar to abide by, which is shown in the Book of Enoch. This could even be considered, you can get more closely to this in the Pentecostal religion, believe it or not, or again, the Jewish religion. The Book of Job, you can get more information to get more aligned, and how to celebrate, what to celebrate, on what day to celebrate, anything. And just how to live your life, right? Because initially, for people who do know about, what the Bible actually is, it's just a philosophy, which is how to live your life day by day to align with God, or Yahshua, which is what they'll talk about in the Book of Enoch. Um, and so it's very interesting. Again, I highly, 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 highly advise people to listen to the videos. and just be patient with me. I will not be posting these right away. I will get to them eventually. But if you're really like, I don't want to wait for my Patreon members, just send me an email and I'll send you the three links that I have. But that's basically what this thing is breaking down for you here. Okay. So, the connection to the Julius Caesar calendar and the Gregorian calendar causes us to add a leap year. And then you have the equinox calendars, um, which is separate because the way they calculated everything, they added when they should have been subtracting, which again was intentionally done to set you off course. It's also the solstices calendars, by the way, are also the calendars that are used to, um, this is how and why March is considered the first month of the year, or Easter, how they calculated to get to the month of Easter. I'm not the month of Easter, I'm sorry, the celebration of Easter through using the equinoxes and solstices calendars. Um, and another thing I noticed is that a lot of Africans, um, their new year is September. They go by September when it's harvest time, as their new year. A lot of African cultures will use September, which that is actually the first time I've ever heard that. I did not know that was even a thing. Um, but um, it's another reason why I believe some African countries are like still back in 2020, 2017, and not 2025. And that's a lot deeper. You really, really have to go do your research. That is not discussed here, by the way. But you can, I mean, you can Google this stuff and you know, uh, and get this information. But it's very, very interesting. And then most people know that the Chinese is their New Year is in February. And those were the only ones that I seen. So January, February, September, outside of March are other days. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot more. But yeah. Um, the Gregorian calendar needs to be 366 days cycles to avoid the leap year. The Sanat calendar is the only calendar ever used nationally by the Hebrews. It's a 364-day calendar that was created since the beginning of time and doesn't include a leap year. And that's how I was able to figure out September as a new year, why a lot of people who come from Africa or have an African culture even, their birthdays a lot of the time are not in alignment with uh Western astrology, mostly because the year they're born is completely different. And this is why it gets real tricky. And why people will question astrology, depending on what you go by and abide by. But again, family, all these different calendars are on. If for real astrologers who know, they know, you can calculate your calendars, your astrology charts for um any astrological timeline necessary. But it's important to know that though. And so that was just the basis of all of this stuff, family. I did go through each and every single month from the Roman Catholic perspective so that you know what you're celebrating each month as you align with this energy, just because I thought it was interesting. But if you really want to get outside of the system, you can again look at all these things that I mentioned, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Job, Pentecostal religion, obviously Jewish religion, um, and yeah, and this will give you more information on how to be aligned if you're interested. And so the Roman Catholic traditions was all really about festivals and celebrations. It wasn't necessarily about how to live or the way to live, but if you pay attention to all the festivals I'm about to name for each month, you can begin to see how we've picked up some of their ways, attributes, just by way of their celebrations throughout each month. And it's really super simple, as just don't celebrate or don't partake in that energy if you feel like these things don't align with you. Once you hear what they are, I need everybody to know this is not of judgment. I have no judgment on who or what anybody does on a regular basis. This was just something that I was called to do, and I wanted to share with people to give you just an introduction. If you want to change and go deeper, again, I will give you the videos. They have the books, where to go to get the books on these videos, and their description and everything if you want to get down to more details. However, I have been sharing with you guys for a very long time. The green book I always hold up in my videos for the class I took for the ancient Egyptian book, the ancient Egyptian classes I took, I'm sorry. Um, I want you to know that book, as soon as you open it up, it doesn't specifically say the Book of Enoch and going back to the beginning time, but what it does is break down all the uh um what do you call them? The oh my God, it's the rhymes like I don't know why I can't think of the name. You guys, I'm so sorry. But the first paragraph, we talk about Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king horses and all the king men couldn't put Humpty together again. Just so that you know, it's that deep that even those nursery rhymes that they came up with are about what I'm talking about right here. Literally, how they have destroyed everything that you are, took it, stole it, and made it their own, and then created something false for you so that you would never align with who you truly are. It's crazy. Every single one of those nursery rhymes were created from these people and how they destroyed your history. It's absolutely crazy, dude. But anyway, I digress. Family, I have the information. If you want it, send me emails. I'll give it to you. If not, and you just like to listen, that's okay too. So January is based off of the two-headed Roman god Janus, which is a lot of the Roman Catholic uh, religion or beliefs or, you know, way of living is based off of hedonism, which is Taurus, by the way, the age of Taurus, which is basically means an anything goes type of belief. You can go look up the word hedonism. and it'll give you more information. Um, but again, a lot of their beliefs were about social control and sacrifices and rituals, and things of partying and bullshit, and like quite literally, that is the simplest way I can put it. Not to simplify this as if it is that. Some of this information might piss you off. I need to warn people of that once you learn this truth and you hear it. I also need to warn you, if you could stick it through, when you're listening to the book of Enoch, which will be read in each one of these three videos that I'm going to provide for you. It's you might have to listen to them more than once. It's very much more so like the Bible is written kind of in that English tone. It's also something that we don't listen to often, and so when you're training your brain to listen to new information, it could be daunting. Might not process fully and completely the first time you listen to it. So you have to be patient with this, and it cannot be rushed. But yeah. And so, um, yeah, a lot of the festivals for Janus, the two-headed god, is a blood sacrifice. Just period. It's really just that simple. And then February, as we all know, is a celebration based off of violence, very sexually charged. Again, blood sacrifices, children sacrifices, human sacrifices, and women sacrifices as well. A lot of this was the festival of um, another festival, rather, that was celebrated along with what we know as Valentine, um, is Lupercalia. I hope I'm saying that right. Which is where they get a lot of the Roman baths. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but pretty much it's a celebration, um, to de-virginize women. Um, it allowed men to go to people's homes and, you know, rape their women and children, basically. But um, they also have these Roman baths, which are places that they set up in different places and stuff where men can go to sleep with each other. I mean, basically. Um, yeah, I mean, you can look all this stuff up. Okay, and then March has connections to the planet Mars. And March is a celebration of military sprees and unaliving sprees. It's a celebration of, um, whatever they consider to be their military, where they would go on sprees to kill people. I mean, it's really just that simple. You can go do your research. April is to is a celebration dedicated to the goddess Ishtar, which is the goddess of fertility, love, and she's also Venus, the protector of prostitution, pubs, and taverns. Okay, May is the goddess of Bondea or Bonadea. I hope I'm saying this right. This is a celebration of all women, where again, this is a place and space where women go to sleep with each other, celebrate, have fun, drink. Okay. In June is the goddess of Juno, and Juno represents fertility, marriage, children, women. And this is a celebration of flowers, communion, and eating of the bread, right? Everybody knows that. We've heard of that, right? That comes from Christianity, am I correct? Did you eat on first communion, the eating of the bread? And then July is Julius Caesar, stands for Julius Caesar. And it represents the expansion of the Roman Empire, which is also a celebration of Neptunalia, a human sacrifice. Now I talked about Saturnalia, which is for December, which I'll talk about when I get there, when I was describing about the P. Diddy thing. But you should go look that up, family. These are real celebrations that these people live by and abided by, using the Greek gods, by the way, the Greek goddesses, or gods and goddesses. Um, August. And August is the representation of Augustus Caesar, the nephew of Julius Caesar. And August is a celebration of Nemorilia. I'm probably butchering that name, to honor the goddess Diana, and she's the goddess of the moon. And this was a celebration of Feast of Assumption. Now you can go look this up. And it was also the grape harvesting that's very much known in Italy, Italian culture. Um, the making of the wine, right? It's also the celebration of fire. Now, I don't know if anybody knows this. I really don't know where everybody is and where they're all coming from, but in out here in Boston, if you go to Providence, Rhode Island, they have a celebration called a fire water thing every year. I haven't been in a while. Um, it's a really nice scenery the way they have it set up, to be quite frank, but um if you live in the area and you ever get a chance to go to that celebration uh, and check it out, it's really, really, it's probably one of the biggest celebrations. I mean, I feel like Providence, Rhode Island does a lot of stuff, to be honest with you. But that particular celebration is phenomenal. You should be able to look it up anywhere online and uh, and check it out. But yeah. And September means seven, and it also stands for the Roman Games, which consisted of gladiators that were slaves, trained to use their swords, weapons to fight each other to the death. And so we've seen all these movies, right? It kind of reminded me of The Gladiator, right? Is that the name of the movie that Denzel just did? I know they have more than one. Um, but I find it very interesting how he just did that movie and now he's kind of being recognized in all these other really high places and spaces and talking about kissing a man, and the scene was taken out for whatever reason, and yeah, it's just, um, very, very, very interesting, family. Very interesting. But yeah, these are also another thing it reminded me of was what the heck is the name of that series that was really, really big? Um, it's something games. What the hell is that show? I know you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on, you guys. Is it Hunger Games? I'm pretty sure it's Hunger Games, guys, because there's like six of them here. But yeah, this kind of reminded me of Hunger Games, period. But yeah. They also have something called chariot racing. Chariot is a very important word when you're listening to the Book of Enoch. You got to pay attention to that. It's actually a lot spiritual and deeper than that. Most people don't know from a spiritual perspective. The chariot and the tarot is actually the or the boat that takes you to the underworld, where you have to pay. Oh, that's in the Book of Enoch. They talk about that there too. I don't know if most people will make the connection, but ooh, ooh, ooh. They also have something with like exotic animals fighting each other to the death and public executions. And then blah, blah, blah. And then October is 8. And that's also another horse racing indication here. Equine, which is how do you pronounce it? Equestrian, which is horses. And it's a time to celebrate the military, or celebrate, I'm sorry, when the military shuts down to prepare for harvests. It's also the celebration of the goddess Ceres, which rules harvest out at agriculture, farmers, the wheat, cereal, all that stuff, right? And then November, which stands for 9. I hope you guys are recognizing how I'm using the numbers for these, by the way. And you can see September is really 9, the ninth month, according to the Gregorian calendar. Look at how off we are. And this should be the 7th. November's 9, but in the Gregorian calendar, it's the 10th, right? Or the 11th month. That's another key to show you how unaligned we are using the Gregorian calendar. But yeah, November is 9. It represents the number 9. And they celebrate a 7-day festival, which is like a banquet of Jupiter, the king of the sky, which is the son of Saturn, who's married to Juno. And most of us know, because I've talked about this astrologically, that Saturn tried to eat um, Jupiter's kids to stay in power because he was afraid that one of them were going to be more powerful than him, right? And Juno saved Jupiter. I think it was a few more, but essentially she saved Jupiter and Jupiter became God. And some people will argue, which astrological sign rules God, but Jupiter's also the ancient ruler of Pisces. And so I think it's both. I'm not really like I'm not interested in arguing or having this argument. And I can tell you why. And I talked about this before for people who have been following me for quite some time. But I think Jupiter, because Jupiter is actually half man, half horse, essentially it's a person. I think Jupiter is God. However, I also think that Pisces rules, you know, like Deuteronomy, the afterlife, um, the Akashic records, because it's so vast and spiritual. It's something you can't see or touch. It's faith, you know. I feel like it's just the expression, the worlds that God, i.e. Jupiter, rules over. If you want to get technical, the sky, for what goes on after you pass away, essentially. Depending on if you go to heaven or not, if you want to get real technical, right? That's just my personal opinion. I'm pretty sure there are people out there who have others, and whatever makes you happy is what makes you happy. And you feel free to believe whatever you want. Um, and then we have December, which rules 10. And again, this is the celebration of Saturnalia, where there were sacrifices of pigs, gifts were given. It was also like a whole legal thing that was decided by the church to celebrate Christmas at this time. And it also represented the end of agriculture or harvests and the beginning of winter. So, that's all I have, family. Again, I really, really, really hope that this information was helpful. Again, if you want more information, do not hesitate to um, reach out for those links. I love and appreciate you. Peace.